Hello everyone. I'm Hunter Huxley and this is the Prepper Papers. This is the final video in our three-part series on bushcraft survival. There are 4 key elements to surviving outdoors in the winter: finding shelter, building a fire, purifying water, and locating food. 3 simple methods of building a shelter in the snow are presented: a snow cave, a tree pit, and a quinzee. Tips for starting a fire in the snow are given. Ideas for sourcing water and hunting and foraging foods are also discussed. We make a new video every week covering different types of tips, gear, and everyday survival practices. If you want to see more videos like this, or if you enjoy this one, be sure to subscribe, so you can keep up with the latest in everything a prepper needs to know in the modern day. Surviving in winter conditions can be tough. Knowing the best techniques for winter survival is definitely crucial, but in the long run it will take a deep motivation to survive, and the ability to adapt to your surroundings. Whether you are stuck in a car covered in snow, or trying to walk out of the frozen wilderness on foot, there are 4 essential priorities for winter survival: build a shelter to conserve your body heat, start a fire to keep yourself warm and dry, locate a water source, and forage or hunt for food. One of the best winter survival stories I have ever read is that of a Slovak man named Richard Kral, who drank copious amounts of beer in order to pee his way out of an avalanche. In 2005, Kral was driving through the Tatra Mountains near Poland when his car was covered by an avalanche. Over the next 4 days, he drank 60 half-liter bottles of beer that he had brought with him in order to generate enough urine to melt a patch through the snow around his car. He was eventually found by rescuers stumbling down a mountain trail. While drinking 60 beers in 4 days is a feat in and of itself, the fact that Kral kept his cool, identified a way to rescue himself, and ultimately walked away from the harshest cold weather conditions earns him a hallowed spot amongst the tales of winter wilderness survivors. Since most of us won't have a few cases of beer with us like Richard Kral, we'll have to rely on these 4 tried and true basics of winter survival. Number 1. Finding or building a shelter. As soon as you realize you will be spending a night outside in cold weather, you will need to begin construction of a shelter to conserve warmth. Some snow shelters take hours to make, so accomplishing this before the sun goes down is critical. If you have a tent or a tarp, or any large piece of fabric, plan to use that as a covering for your shelter. If you are in a wooded area, look for downed trees to form a frame for your shelter, or a rock outcropping that you can expand on. Whatever structure you decide to build, make sure it is near the top or middle of a slope. Never sleep in a valley or canyon bottom, as cold air tends to settle in these areas overnight. There are 3 basic types of winter shelters. Knowing how to make each one will allow you to adapt to whatever circumstances you find yourself in. A snow cave is the quickest form of winter shelter. Anyone venturing into the backcountry during the winter needs to know how to make one of these basic survival structures. Locate a large snow drift, or steep, stable slope of snow against a hillside. Starting on the downwind side, create an entrance about 18-inch wide near the bottom of the drift. Widen the entrance into a T shape, and excavate upwards and to the sides to create 1 or 2 sleeping platforms. Use a shovel, a piece of cardboard, or a lid to a plastic tote to help move snow. Make sure your entrance is as far below your sleeping platform as possible. This will help keep warm air inside your shelter. Once you have created an area large enough to sleep in, pack the extra space near the entrance with blocks of snow, bags of snow, or snowballs. Line the sleeping platform with evergreen boughs to conserve warmth. Use a ski pole or long tree branch to poke several holes through the exterior for ventilation. Stick ski poles or branches out of the top of your snow cave and hang colorful pieces of fabric or gear on them to alert potential rescuers to your presence. Once you enter the snow cave for the night, cover the entrance with a bag of snow, a piece of fabric, or evergreen boughs to conserve warmth. A tree pit is the best shelter in a wooded area. A tree pit can only be made in conditions where evergreen trees are surrounded by deep snow. Look for an evergreen tree with wide, low-hanging branches. There are often pockets of empty space below these branches. Carefully excavate a pit below the branches until you reach ground level. Cut boughs from nearby evergreens to prop up the branches you are digging under, and to prevent snow from caving into your tree pit. Compact the snow walls to create a sturdy structure. Once you have dug out enough room to sleep in, cover the floor with more evergreen boughs to keep you off of the ground. Cover the entrance with evergreen boughs to conserve warmth, and to prevent snow from falling in. A quinzee can be built in flat, snow-covered locations. A quinzee is similar to an igloo, but it is easier to build. While it does require a lot of effort, a quinzee will last longer than the other shelters and be more comfortable. Try the other options for shelter first, and only build a quinzee if you expect to spend several nights outdoors. Pile snow into a large mound, about 4 to 5 feet tall and 6 to 10 feet wide. Wait an hour or 2 for the snow to settle. Starting low, begin tunneling into the middle of the mound. Distribute the snow that you excavate around the top and sides of the mound. carve your way up through the snow to create a dome shape. Keep the walls between 1 to 2 feet thick. Poke straight sticks through the walls every couple of feet to help strengthen the structure. As you excavate, small holes may punch through. Just pack them with snow and they will settle in with time. Once you have excavated an area large enough to sleep in, cover the floor with evergreen boughs for warmth. Cover the entrance with a bag of snow or evergreen boughs. Number 2. Staying warm. Once you have established a shelter, work on starting a fire to generate warmth. Fire is also necessary for melting snow or ice for drinking water and cooking food. Anyone who ventures into the backcountry, no matter what season, should carry the tools to start a fire for survival. Along with a lighter, waterproof matches, and a fire steel or flint, you should carry tinder such as Vaseline-soaked cotton balls or dryer lint in a waterproof container. There are 3 steps to building a fire in the snow. Select a site that is protected from wind and snow. Build a fire pit with large rocks. Line the floor with stones to keep your fire off of the snow. Make a portion of the pit taller to reflect heat back to your position. Gather tinder, kindling, and larger pieces of wood. Starting the fire should be simple if your kindling is dry. If it is wet, you'll have to dry it out by raising the temperature. Place pieces of tinder and kindling in your shelter overnight, or inside your coat pockets. Besides allowing you to perform essential functions around camp, having a fire enables you to signal rescuers. Keep a pile of cut greenery or leaves nearby to throw into the fire to create smoke. Number 3. Find a source of drinking water. Once you have built a shelter and started a fire, you can focus on acquiring the water you will need for survival. Look for an area of open water, such as a flowing creek or pond that isn't iced over. Getting water from these sources will be the most productive method, but take caution not to fall in when accessing them. If there is not an open water source nearby, you will need to melt snow or ice. Melting ice will provide more water than snow. Any water you locate will need to be boiled for purification. Boil for at least 1 minute if you are below 5,000 feet elevation, and at least 3 minutes if above 5,000 feet. Number 4. Winter food. Foraging and hunting. There are very few available food sources in the winter. This is why animals stockpile food throughout the year. Carry extra food with you if you are taking part in any winter activities. If you find yourself in a winter survival situation, take stock of any food you might have with you, and ration it carefully. You never know how lucky you will get when trapping, hunting, and foraging in the winter wilderness. If you know you will be outside for several days, create deadfalls, snares, and figure 4 traps out of sticks, cordage, and rocks. Look for tracks in the snow to identify the routes that different animals take, and set your traps in choke points. Learn the different berries, barks, and roots that grow in your location and keep an eye out for them while performing other tasks. Watch the behavior of squirrels to follow them to their caches of nuts and mushrooms hidden in the trees. Find a stout stick to use as a club to throw at small game and stun it. Improvise a fishing net out of mesh from a backpack or tent, or use a piece of metal and some cordage to make a fishing hook and line. If there isn't open water to fish in, use a hatchet, axe, or a knife to chip a hole in the ice. Cover the hole with a mound of snow so it doesn't freeze up overnight. Carry the right gear. At the start of every winter season, make sure these items are in your vehicle: water and calorie-dense snacks, blankets and winter clothing, mobile power source, flashlight, flares, and fire starter, shovel and traction mats, bag of sand or kitty litter, jumper cables, tow rope, general car repair tools, duct tape, cordage, and a knife. First aid kit. Since we've addressed the 4 essential tasks for surviving in the winter, you might be wondering what skills you might need to live in the wild year-round. If you intend to survive in the wilderness, you must learn each of these skills: starting a fire, building a shelter, purifying water, trapping, hunting, and foraging food, identifying plants, handling animal encounters, navigation, basic first aid, estimating distance and time, recognizing hypothermia, knowing your limits. If you're still listening, thank you for making it to the end of our bushcraft survival series. I'd like you to know that we truly appreciate your viewership. If you enjoy our content, consider subscribing or signing up for our newsletter using the link in the description. As always, I'm Hunter Huxley, this is the Prepper Papers, and we'll see you next time.